The Packers' first season with Coach Lafluer ends at 13-3. We're going to be discussing how the season went and taking second seed in the playoffs and the division round coming up. Those are the topics for tonight, so stick around. This video is brought to you by Packer Fan Cave. Everything you need to turn your man cave into a Packer Fan Cave. You can check them out at packerfancave.net. There is a link in the description below this video. So, Coach LaFleur's first season ended at 13-3. It's been an awesome season, especially as a rebuilding year. And here to talk about this with me is my good friend and lifelong Packer fan, Mark Padriana. Mark, thanks for being here today.
Thanks as always for having me. Pretty good season for somebody who was, for a team that was supposed to be rebuilding.
Yeah.
13-3 for a first year head coach who was a mistake in some people's eyes. That was, pretty good and pretty good to, shut up some people for a change. But yeah, really excited and really looking forward to the next part of the season.
Yeah, this postseason coming up is going to be awesome. The season itself was awesome. You look at a first-year head coach coming into a rebuilding season, and I mean the first three quarters of the season they were 3-1, and the last quarter of the season they went 4-0. They completely destroyed the division. 6-0 in the division. Nobody would have seen that coming at the beginning of the season. And I think a lot of teams out there, as much as people talk about what's wrong with Aaron Rodgers and what's wrong with the Packers, I think a lot of teams out there have no idea what to do against this team.
Yeah, and I think it's called balance, something we've been looking for a long time. And, we were talking about this off air that, Rodgers' numbers might not look gaudy statistically, but I think he's had an excellent season. I know there's been some, his percentage isn't great, and his touchdowns aren't as high as he's had in the past, and he still threw for 4,000 yards. He still had a great season. He didn't have to put up gaudy numbers all the time.
Exactly.
Because they have a balanced team now. They have a running game. I think they're still a little bit weak at tight end, but there's some receivers that have been emerging later in the season. Hopefully Devontae is fully healthy now, and not just balance on offense, but balance between both sides of the ball. The defense has been outstanding this year and made all the difference in 13-3 records.
Yeah, I mean, the new guys that they brought in free agency, the Smith brothers, Adrian Amos, those guys have performed exactly how we wanted them to, and just brought a whole new level of excitement to the defensive side of the ball and the team in general. You'll hear, it's not often you'll actually hear offensive guys in interviews talk about guys on the defensive side of the ball on their own team, but this year people can't help but to talk about the Smith brothers. They can't help but to talk about Adrian Amos, and when you look at the balance on this team, it's not just offense and defense, but it's special teams too. I mean, we have one of the most reliable kickers in the NFL right now, and we have J.K. Scott as a punter is really impressive as far as a punter goes, especially when you're trying to play that field position game that the Packers have turned into this year. I'm excited. I forget what the kid's name is. They brought in as kick returner now,
but added that in special teams as well.
Yeah,
late in the season. Yeah, I think it come from a number of different ways and different positions, and that's the exciting thing moving forward to the playoffs. But I think it's just, and I don't know if it's come from who deserves all the credit, whether it's Lafleur or whether it's the Smith brothers or whether it's Aaron Rodgers. I think nobody really knows unless you're in that locker room every day. But these guys like each other. This is a team, and like we were talking about the balance, it's not just. I don't think it's a coincidence that everybody's having a really good season in the same season. I think these guys are playing for each other. They're playing for the team, and they see something really special brewing. And as fans, I think we'd be blind not to see that there's something really special brewing this year.
Yeah, I agree. And if this is a rebuilding year, I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Oh my gosh. But seachickens coming in this weekend and start the playoffs, and They're a little banged up, and I think we're as healthy as any Packer team as I can remember going into the playoffs. I like this matchup for us, and it sounds like it's going to be Wisconsin weather, Green Bay weather heading into this game. A lot of snow predicted at least the day before. We'll see if we get some for game time, but I think the Packers can control both lines of scrimmage this weekend, and I think they have a real good chance of moving on to NFC Championship. But we'll see 1 week at a time. But I feel really good about this week.
Yeah, I feel really good about it too. And it's just you talk about a special kind of a year. Look at not just for the Packers, but look at what an insane season this has been this year when you've got 3 teams in the NFC alone coming into the playoffs at 13-3.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me when you can look at a situation like that. It's not often, it's honestly not often that 12-4 wouldn't be one of the best in the top 1 or 2. This year 12-4 would have gotten you 5th place.
Yeah, other than Philly coming in at 9-7, just because they won their division, they got a little higher seed. But the Vikings were the lowest seed, and look, they went in and won the first weekend on the road in New Orleans. So it's the playoffs; you never know what can happen. But like I said, I feel really confident about this weekend.
Yeah.
Not overly confident. You never want to count out Russell Wilson. He's never going to roll over and lay down. He is an outstanding quarterback, and he deserves all the credit he gets. But yeah, I think from start to finish, I think we're just a stronger team.
I agree. And not just Russell Wilson, the entire Seachickens team. They really do have a good team over there in Seattle. I can't root for them being cheaters and whatnot, but good coaching, good.
Still have Bobby Wagner on defense. They're not the same defense, but they're still formidable.
Right. They're definitely a tough opponent, and I think this is going to be a good statement game for the Green Bay Packers. Winning this, I think, is going to get them some recognition on the national discussion, because a lot of times you just don't hear a whole lot of the Green Bay Packers in the national discussion, and I think that could be a good thing for them as far as flying under the radar goes.
Yeah, I think it depends on, like I said, I feel good about them winning this weekend. I think it depends on what kind of game Rodgers has. I think if the Packers run the football well and they get a lead and they play good defense and they create a couple turnovers and get as a quarterback and play good defense in the red zone like they've done all season, and they win, quote unquote, ugly or not, as pretty a win, and Rodgers say maybe throws for only 200 yards, the narrative still might be that the Packers, who knows, they're not. Rodgers doesn't look like himself, yada yada yada. But if the Packers win by the same score, say it's 30-20, and Rodgers throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, then the narrative I think is going to be, hey, these guys are now title contenders. I think people are starting to say, well, I think they can go into San Francisco, but I think it goes. The national perspective sort of looks at Rodgers. He's the barometer. If he's putting up gaudy numbers, then they think that the team can do well. But I don't believe it. I don't think he necessarily has to throw for 3 touchdowns every week in the playoffs for them to get to the Super Bowl. I think he can. I still think he's very, very capable, but I don't think he has to, and we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care how we win as long as we win.
Right. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. In years past as we're coming into the playoffs, all you can say is, Rodgers has to have a really good game and then we can win. This year, you don't really have to feel that way. You don't have to put the whole weight of the season on Aaron Rodgers himself. You put that weight on, some of that weight on the defense and some of that weight on J.K. Scott and some of that weight on Aaron Jones and some of that weight on Devontae Adams. I would bet you that Aaron Rodgers is feeling better right now than he ever has coming into the playoffs before, because it's not, well, it's up to you, kid,
Yeah, you're right. I think he's as happy as he's been too,
Yeah.
I think it comes across, and 13-3 is 13-3, and now the second season begins.
Right. And he just doesn't seem all stressed out this year, And you're right. Now the second part of the season begins, and we're looking at the playoffs, and What do you guys think out there? Are you guys confident that the Packers are going to beat the Sea Chickens this weekend? Uh, are you hoping that there's going to be snow and cold and wind and Wisconsin weather? Uh, Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Hit the little bell icon so you get notifications every time I upload new content. Share this video with all of your friends. And Mark, thanks again for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me as always. Go Pack Go.
All right, and for the Packer Fan Network, I am Mark Schneider.